All right, let's take a little road trip, shall we? We're heading up the American West Coast to explore the three titans of American wine: California, Oregon, and Washington. We're going to dig into what makes each of these places so special, from the sun soaked vineyards of California all the way up to the cool, misty north. It's a fascinating world of flavors, so let's get into it.
So, what's the big deal with West Coast wines anyway? What's the secret sauce that connects these really different regions? Well, it pretty much boils down to a super powerful combo of three key things you find up and down the coast.
First up, you've got the Pacific Ocean. You just can't overstate its importance. Think of it like a giant natural air conditioner. Those cold currents and daily breezes cool everything down, which lets the grapes ripen nice and slow. That slow ripening is what develops all those complex flavors and keeps the wines bright and fresh with that acidity we love.
Then you have the mountains. Those huge ranges like the Sierra Nevada and the Cascades. They are way more than just a pretty picture. They're like natural bodyguards for the vineyards, shielding them from nasty weather and creating all these little pockets, these microclimates with different soils and sun exposures. And number three, the sun. The West Coast gets a ton of sunshine, and that's what guarantees the grapes get perfectly ripe year after year. So when you mix that reliable sun with the ocean's cool air and the mountain's protection, you've basically got a perfect storm for making some of the best wine in the world. And when you weave those three things together, the ocean, the mountains, and the sun, you get this incredible, what people in the wine world call tapestry of terroir. It's this amazing variety that gives each state, and honestly, each little valley, its very own unique winemaking personality. Okay, our first stop has to be California. I mean, it's the undisputed golden giant of American wine. It's famous, it's powerful, and it's got so much going on. But even inside this huge state, you've got these distinct personalities. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the famous rivalry between its two star valleys.
And that brings us to the classic California showdown: Napa versus Sonoma. The easiest way to think about it is this: Napa is all about luxury and power. It's the king, famous for those big, bold Cabernet Sauvignons grown in rich volcanic soil. Then, right next door, you've got Sonoma, which is more about diversity and a kind of laid-back charm. It's cooler and foggier, making it the perfect spot for elegant Pinot Noir and those spicy, jammy Zinfandels.
All right, let's head north up the coast to Oregon. Now, if California is the big, flashy Hollywood superstar, Oregon is more like the thoughtful, elegant indie filmmaker. This is a state that's really focused its energy on mastering one of the world's trickiest, but also most rewarding grapes. And that grape is, of course, Pinot Noir. It is notoriously finicky, super delicate, and it's famous for showing you exactly where it was grown. That's what we mean by terroir. It absolutely loves cooler climates, and Oregon is so perfect for it that its wines are constantly being compared to the best from Pinot Noir's original home, Burgundy in France. That's a huge compliment. So what's Oregon's secret? How do they do it? Well, it's a few things working together. The climate is definitely cooler and a bit wetter than California. The volcanic soils give the wines this amazing minerality, and the winemakers there are just laser focused on creating that elegant, earthy Burgundian style. Put it all together, and you see why the Willamette Valley is basically the mecca for American Pinot Noir. For our last stop, we're going even further north to Washington, which I think is the big surprise on the West Coast. Now, when you hear Washington, you're probably thinking of rainy Seattle, right? But the place where they actually grow the grapes is a totally different world. The absolute key to understanding Washington wine is the Cascade Mountains. They create this thing called a rain shadow. Basically, all the rain from the Pacific gets dumped on the west side of the mountains, near Seattle, but the east side, where all the vineyards are, stays incredibly dry and sunny. It's practically a desert over there. And that unique desert climate gives Washington a secret weapon: a huge diurnal shift. Now, that sounds technical, but all it means is that there's a really big temperature swing between day and night. The days get super hot and sunny, which develops these deep, ripe fruit flavors, but then at night the temperature plummets, and that cold air locks in all the natural acidity, keeping the wines fresh and balanced. It's the best of both worlds.
And the wines that come out of this are just incredible. Washington makes these really powerful, structured red wines like Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah that are just packed with flavor. But here's a pro tip: don't sleep on their white wines. They also make some world-class, crisp, and super aromatic Riesling that just sings in that climate.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
how do you actually use this information? Let's quickly map out a little flavor itinerary to help you pick out your next bottle of West Coast wine. It's actually pretty simple. If you're looking for something powerful, iconic, a real classic bold red, you're going to want to explore California. If you're in the mood for something more elegant, complex, and aromatic, then you absolutely have to discover the beautiful Pinot Noirs coming out of Oregon. And if you want something bold, intense, and maybe a little surprising, you've got to give Washington a try. So, really, the only question left is which adventure are you going to choose? Whether you go for the Golden Giant, the Elegant North, or the surprising frontier, the West Coast has a whole world of flavor just waiting for you. So, which bottle are you opening first?